So we're getting ready to head down to Parris Island, South Carolina to attend Lisa's son's graduation from the Marine Corps boot camp. We're so excited. And I figured this is a great time to talk about what to do with your fish when you go on vacation. So that's what we're talking about on this episode of Tank Talk. Hey folks, it's John with KGTropicals.com. It's Sunday, October 19th, 2014. Welcome to this edition of Tank Talk. As you can see, I have set myself in front of a new little section here on the studio. Really excited about this. Haven't talked about this much yet. For those of you who have been talking to me on the forums and things like that, if you're thinking this is the super secret project that we've had going on, you're wrong. No, this is just something I decided to add to this. And what it's going to end up being is an angel tank. I'm going to have it full of angels that we bred a while back, and we've been growing them up, and I'm really excited about it. So expect to hear a little bit more about this tank as we go on. Still kind of getting things set up and getting it all organized. So you'll hear more about that as we go on. One of the most common questions I get in my shop is, what should I do if I'm getting ready to go on vacation? How do I take care of my fish? Well, it's also another very common statement that I get in the shop is, I went on vacation and now all of a sudden my fish are dead. So that's what this whole episode is going to be talking about. What should you do if you're getting ready to go on vacation? How should you handle your fish tanks? How should you get them ready so that you can go on your trip and not worry about them the whole time? So we're going to talk about what you should not do, and then we're going to talk about what you should do. So let's get right into it. Let's talk about what you should not do if you're getting ready to go on vacation. So there's a few things here that you might look at as common sense, but you'd be surprised at how often I hear about them in my shop. Some things that you should not do if you're getting ready to go on vacation. And one of those things is, don't just call your friend and say, hey, can you take care of my fish? And assume that your friend's going to know what he or she is doing. They're probably not. Even if they're an advanced fish keeper, they don't know what it is that you do to take care of your fish. So you need to have a more specific plan. We're going to talk about that as we move forward here. The other thing, and this sounds stupid, folks, but trust me, it happens all the time, is people getting a gigantic ball of food in their hand and just dumping it in the tank and saying, that ought to hold them over for the entire time that I'm on vacation. Obviously, that's not going to work, folks, because the food is going to sit down on the bottom of the tank. A lot of it's not going to get eaten. It's going to end up contaminating your tank, and you're going to come home to a smelly, smudgy, nasty tank full of dead fish. So you need to go into this with a much more detailed plan, and that's what we're going to talk about. Let's forget about the things you shouldn't do. Let's talk about what you should do if you're getting ready to go on vacation. One of the things I want to talk about before we go on with this list of things that you should do is, if you're only going to be going for a couple of days, folks, you don't need to worry about it. Your fish are going to be fine. Feed them before you leave. Feed them when you get home. Trust me, they'll be fine. And there's a lot of people, including me, that would argue that if you have a couple of days without feeding your fish, it gives the fish an opportunity to completely clean out their digestive system. This is a good thing, folks. It gets them clean and they feel good and everything's great. It gets them to completely empty out. They're not going to starve if you're only going to be gone for a couple of days, like we are going down to this graduation. I'm leaving on Wednesday. I'm coming back on Friday. Not a big deal. My fish will be fine. So it may seem like overkill, but trust me, folks, it makes sense to have a good plan if you're getting ready to leave. If you're going to have a friend come over and take care of your fish, one of the biggest pieces of advice that I could give you is to make it absolutely foolproof. Lay out each individual day for your friend. If they're going to come over every single day, lay out the food for those days. Some people use Ziploc bags. Some people actually use those little pill containers that have Monday through Sunday on them. And you can easily put the amount of food in each day. Your friend can come over, open that day or open that bag, and just dump it right into the tank. No mistakes. Now, one of the biggest pieces of advice I'll give you is just to be on the safe side. If you're going to put food in these containers for your friends or your mom to come over and dump into the tank, do half of what you would normally feed. If you're somebody who feeds your fish twice a day, don't put 2 feedings worth of food in there. Don't even put 1 feeding's worth of food in there. Put a half just to be on the safe side. You don't want anything to go wrong while you're gone and nobody's there to react. So play it safe. Put half in each day. If you lay that out for your friend like that, there's no way that a mistake can be made. Trust me, there's too many times I've heard the story. Yeah, I mean, my friend, he was trying to help out and he just went in and basically dumped half the bag. He thought my fish are really big, so they need a lot of food. Trust me, you don't want your friends to walk around with that guilt knowing that they killed all of your precious, expensive fish. Make it foolproof. Next thing I would tell you to do is do a nice water change. Do a nice bit of maintenance just before you leave. This way, the tank starts off good to go, and by the time you get back, it's probably going to be ready for some more. But get that water clean. If you need to replace a filter cartridge or maybe squeeze out your sponges in your canister filter, whatever it is, get that tank good and clean. Nice big, oversized water change before you leave. That way, you're starting off perfect. Your friend's going to come over and only put half of a day's worth of feeding in your tank. There's no way that you're going to have any mistakes. Well, there is a way, but let's just say this is what gives you the best chances of there not being any mistakes. Next thing I want you to do is make sure all of your equipment is operating properly. I know it might sound like common sense, but you'll be glad you did this. Have that peace of mind while you're gone. Make sure your filter is flowing properly. Make sure there's no kinks in your air hose for your air stones. Make sure to turn your heater up 1 degree. Make sure that little red light comes on, and then you can turn it back down. But just make sure that everything is running properly. This way, you don't have any of those surprises while you're gone. Oh, my heater cut out. Might have been off the whole time I was gone, and that's what killed my fish. Play it safe. Make sure everything is clean. Make sure everything is operating properly, and you should be able to go on vacation without worrying about your fish. The next nightmare story that I've heard from a lot of people is something that can be prevented, and that is there was a power outage while we were on vacation, and my filters didn't turn back on, and just everything turned to slop while we were gone. I've heard that way too many times. I would definitely recommend to you, even if you don't have a friend that's going to come over and feed your fish while you're gone, I would definitely have a friend on standby that if the power goes out, even just a flicker, this friend can come by and take a look in your tanks and make sure everything's running properly and everything's on. Because trust me, power outages can absolutely kill your fish. It's not the power going out that kills the fish. It's the fact that once the power comes back on, all of your equipment doesn't kick back on and start to function properly. Having a friend come over and check that will save your fish. Trust me. So make a plan. Get your tank nice and clean before you leave. Make sure all of your equipment is running properly and efficiently and everything's good to go. And then have somebody on standby. It can be the same friend that's going to come over and feed your fish for you. Have somebody on standby just in case. If it's a neighbor, who knows, somebody that can run by and just make sure everything's okay. If the power was to go out or there's a hurricane or what, you never know. Make sure that everything's running good. You should be fine. You should be able to go on vacation and enjoy yourself and not worry about your fish. Don't be scared by the fact that I've heard all of these nightmare stories. You've probably heard them too. They are out there, but if you really think about it, there's nightmare stories out there about everything. So don't panic. Your fish will be fine. If you're only going for a couple of days, don't worry about it. Your fish are going to survive. And like I said, it might be good for them to not eat for a couple of days. So make sure everything is straight and go on vacation and enjoy yourself. I hope this helps to get you a little bit more peace of mind when you're getting ready to go on vacation. I know I'm totally fine getting ready to go to South Carolina. I'm not worried about it a bit. And I've got probably 2,500 fish. So that ought to be able to tell you something. I hope you got something out of this. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, why don't you click that like button, maybe click the subscribe button, something like that. Support our sponsors that I've been putting up here on the screen. That would be a huge help. And I will see you next week. We'll have some more information on this tank. Oh, and folks, I wanted to tell you about something real quick. There's something big coming out this Wednesday. You're going to see it on my channel. It's a big surprise. It's the one I've been talking about for a while. I'm super excited about it, and I think you will be too. So don't forget, it's not a normal day for us to upload. Don't forget to check out the channel on this coming Wednesday. You're going to be excited.